Hello, everybody. This is Viv Bartlett. I am here with my father, Viv Bartlett, and we are going to be bringing out a series of small talks called Talks with Viv Bartlett about his books and so on. So yeah, it's just a conversation. They're having a father-son conversation. How are you today, Dad, or Viv? How are you today?
Oh, thanks, Cal. Yeah. Well, I've not long had an operation for cancer, and I'm making very slow recovery. Hopefully now I can proceed with this conversation without any interruptions health-wise.
Fantastic. It's good that you're with us, and it's good that you are, we're going to be having a great conversation with each other. First of all, can you tell me more about yourself? Just maybe a little bit about your background and what brought you to writing this book.
Oh, yes. So a potted history of myself, really. I was born and brought up in Cardiff. I was born in 1945. I was brought up on the council house estate, which meant really we didn't own our own property. My mother and father were very hardworking, and I'm the eldest of 5 children. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And I served an apprenticeship when I left school. I left school with no qualifications. I served in an engineering apprenticeship, and then I managed to go into the Merchant Navy as an engineer officer and travel the world. And I came out of there and back into Cardiff, Newport, South Wales. I got married to my lovely wife, Rita, of which Callum is the 3rd child of our marriage. And a little bit later on, after marrying, I decided I'd like to become a teacher, and I had to study for my qualifications. I didn't have any to get into uni. I had to get qualifications to go into university, first of all, which I did, and I spent 4 years in uni and came out with a Bachelor of Education degree, honours degree, and eventually became a teacher, which I did before I retired from work.
So we are here today to talk about your book, which is called Navigating Materialistic Minefields. That's a very interesting title. Can you give us a little introduction of your book, and why did you choose that name, specifically Navigating Materialistic Minefields? What does that actually mean? Does that mean we need to find minefields somewhere? And is it physical, or is it a symbolic representation of what you're trying to talk about?
Yeah, it is as you say, symbolic or figurative representation. Minefields are unsuspecting things, aren't they? I mean, I've never, thank God, walked across a minefield. But I should imagine it's the most terrorizing thing that you could do, because every step you take, you're unaware of whether you can take the next step. So materialistic minefield implies something which is hidden that we're not aware of. And if we take a wrong step, then it could result in great damage to our life. But I'm not talking about physical damage, essentially. I'm talking about the way in which we feel inside, the way in which we approach life, the way in which can bring out our potential, so as we can if we can avoid these dangers, these materialistic dangers in life, if we could go through life feeling that we can make a contribution for the betterment of society, that would be a wonderful objective to remain safe to be able to do that.
What do you mean by navigating? Like to navigate. So to navigate is a verb, means to follow something. What do you mean by the word navigating when you're talking about what you're talking about in your book?
Well, it's interesting. Navigation has been for sailors and for people traveling around the world, whether land, sea or air. It's been a major part of humanity's integration when we think about it. So knowing how to navigate between one place and another is important. So sailors, ships at sea over the centuries and so on, they were plotting a safe course across the oceans by looking at the stars, the position of the sun and the moon and stuff like this, and plotting a wonderfully safe course. So in a sense, it's in life, we need to plot a course for our own safety and other people's safety. It's not just looking, a course of safety in my understanding is not just for ourselves. I'm not after just being personally safe. I'm after understanding how, if we're all on a ship the whole of humanity is on a ship. How can we help each other, not just do our work and our involvement in looking after the community on the ship, but how can we also know that we are on the right track to go from A to B? So navigating is extremely important work as we plot our way through life.
You highlight a lot about materialism in your book. Materialism can be seen in many ways. What do you think is the problem with materialism? Don't you think that material prosperity is a good thing for humanity? And what does that mean to you in terms of materialism and the world that we live in today, which is, well, especially in the West, well, the world really is engulfed in materialism. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so what I go through in the book is two ways of approaching life or plotting our way through life. And, we need to see through a particular lens that can keep us safe, our family safe, and everybody safe on the planet, and prosperous and materially and spiritually advancing. So materialism is an unsafe approach. And I think, I've become aware that there are two ways in which we can look at materialism. One is from a philosophical, reductive way of looking at things, that everything is reduced to, all answers are reduced to just material causes and events. And I've written in the book, a philosophical reductive materialism is the view that all facts, including facts about the human mind and will and the course of human history, are causally dependent upon physical processes or even reducible to them. So from that sort of philosophical way of looking at things, for instance, you could take the question, how was the universe created? And philosophical reductive materialism posits that it wasn't created, it was just the universe just happened by chance. It's fortuitous circumstances. That's an example of no involvement of something spiritual or of the spirit involved in the way people approach life, or their philosophy, if they are on that line of thinking. And the second way I use materialism in the book is in terms of values, the way in which we can consider is our guiding principles in life or lifestyles. It reduces to lifestyle. So I've written that in terms of values, it's an attitude that physical well-being and worldly possessions constitute the greatest good and the highest value in life. Concern for possessions or material wealth and physical comfort, especially to the exclusion of spiritual or intellectual pursuits. So what I'm looking at in the book is a different way of looking at life other than through a materialistic lens, whether it's philosophical or lifestyle choices or a combination of the two. I want to look through the lens of the spirit or spiritual realities to give an alternative understanding about how we can navigate through this material world. Material world is not materialistic. It's a wonderful creation, but it's when we put materialistic understandings and lifestyles above the spiritual understandings and lifestyles, that's when we get into lots of problems. So it's a priority ordering.